I have chicken, I have beef, and I have pork that I'm gonna cook. Yes, Charles, I have chicken. This tool already.
Hey yo, this is Dash.
Yeah. All right. So today I'm going to be using Bernadette, and what I just did was I made a plate, the expanded plate, kind of like how I did in Vicky, to help intensify the charcoal and make it last a little longer. So what I'm going to do at this point is we're going to get a piece of wood and we're going to get that down at the bottom. Once I get the wood down at the bottom, I'm going to get charcoal in here, and as opposed to one bag of charcoal coming up to halfway or like a third of the basket, when I put it this way, it will intensify the charcoal and make it burn a lot hotter for a lot faster. So let's get the wood. So part of the problem using propane in the cold is there's not enough pressure. I'll be back with a bigger one. So I've had people ask before where I got this from. I got this as a, actually let's see if it says. It just says propane torch with push button igniter. And I got this from Harbor Freight. They're like 40 bucks. So if you can use the coupon on this. So if you're lucky, you can find a 25% off coupon, or around the holidays, they show a 25% coupon, like the bigger holidays. 25% off, and you can get this. And it just attaches to a regular 40-pound tank. Or maybe that's a 20-pound tank. Regardless, I used it to get the fire started. At this point, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna get the intake opened up all the way. Alright, so I had a couple of you guys ask about a fan, and because this doesn't have a dedicated pipe to go out the window like Bernadette. I'm sorry, Bernadette does not have a dedicated pipe to go out the window like Bessie. This is the pipe that I use in Bessie, and it doesn't fit 100% on top of this very well for Bernadette, but I'm gonna put it up there. I know I could probably find, I think this is a 6-inch square tube that I can get an attachment for, to go from square to round and pipe it out the window, similar to how I do with Bessie. Alright, so at this point, I have my fire going. I'm gonna come back out here in about, well, I'm gonna go season the meat, and then I'll be back out here once that's done. Alright, so I'm back out at Bernadette, and my temperature is getting up to where I need it to be. So far, I'm looking at the thermometer on the right here, and it's at 150 degrees, and the one on the left is at about 160 degrees. So those plates that I have down at the bottom, you guys saw me do that video where I worked out the plates, got them cut up, and have them in the bottom of Bernadette on that lower shelf. And in case you kind of don't remember or didn't see that video, I have, these are 1/4-inch plates, and I had a 2x2 sheet, and I ended up slicing them in 6-inch. Well, these are 2 6-inch, and this is like 5.5 because of the cut. It took some of the material out. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I have chicken, I have beef, and I have pork that I'm gonna cook. Yes, Charles, I have chicken. We're gonna be talking about the chicken. I don't exactly remember. I'm gonna look up exactly what your question was in regards to the chicken, but we're gonna be talking about the chicken. So at this point, the smoker is coming up to temperature. It's not fully up to 100% temperature, but all of the thick white smoke is gone. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the smoker loaded, get it closed back up, monitor the temperature, try to get it settled in where I need it to be, and then we're gonna just let it go, let it cook. You guys have seen me do this before. That is a pan of beef fat. I'm gonna try to render that off and do something with it. Alright, these briskets today, these are 2 15-pound briskets. One is like 15.8, the other was 15.1, and then I have a smaller, this was a 10-pound brisket. So the orders I'm taking care of today, I have 2 10-pound brisket orders, so I'm figuring 15 and 15 is 30, plus another 10 is 40 pounds for me to yield 20 pounds. that pork over slightly more to the middle. The plates, the heat from the plate is gonna be coming out right about here and here. So kind of put this right over where the pork is. Let me get this through, put back in here so I can monitor the temperature. Simple as that. All right, so I'm still standing out where I was sitting, actually, out here in the cold at Bernadette, and still trying to figure this thing out. So I do have a lot of water down in the bottom of Bernadette, and I don't know if that's a detriment or not, because this temperature probe, and I'll show you exactly where it is so you see where the probe is, showing 190 degrees. Well, 187. So let's take a gander down in here. And my charcoal, I feel like the charcoal is like burnt almost all the way down. So what I might end up having to do is I might end up having to run like 2 whole bags of charcoal down in there or something like that, so I can get it up to the temperature I need. So at this point, I think I might be pulling that box out so I can take the piece of expanded I just put in there out. Yo, this feels so good. Oh, it's cold out here. It's like 30, it's like mid 30s. It's just above freezing, and that feels great. So I'm going to add some more charcoal so I can, in hopes to being able to get this, get the temperature up in Bernadette, and we'll go from there. Back out at Bernadette, and you guys can hear, I'm just imagining that's the brisket dripping down on the tuning plates I have there. I still gotta figure this thing out. But I came in here and it's rather smoky, and it's not smoky from the fire, it's smoky from the grease. So let's open it up and see what's going on. My temperature right now, right at that grate, is 285. It has gone up more or higher than I need it to be. But I did, when I last talked to you guys, I said that I was gonna take that plate out, that grate out, and what I ended up doing was I added the rest of the bag of charcoal from the first bag of charcoal I put in there. The temperature came up to about 250, 260, and then it just started dropping. Actually, it was probably 240, 245, and then it started dropping. I came back out here and the temperature was down to like 212, and then I finally took the grate out, and then I added more charcoal. I added a whole bag of charcoal, and it sucked it up like it was nothing. I'm gonna check what this looks like. If I can get it open. Alright. Okay, and you see, we are glowing red hot in here. Now, one of the things I did, I actually had the air inlet all the way open. Yep, the sizzling I'm hearing. Hopefully you can see down in there. Let me get a light. The sizzling you're hearing is the brisket and the pork shoulder hitting the plates. And obviously this plate is going to be the hottest because it is where the heat comes in and out. But looking at everything in here, I'm actually pretty impressed. I'm happy with how this is turning out so far. I'm trying to get a look at the chicken back there. My pork shoulder looks good. The briskets look good too. They're definitely dripping up a storm. And I'm gonna start temping some things to check and see how this cook is progressing along. All right, after temping my chicken, chicken is ready to come out. I just added some sauce on it, and It definitely has the color I'm looking for. So what I'm gonna try to do is not open up this other door to let all of the heat out. And here we have one of my problems I have with the Maverick. So I just stopped the alarm, right? Once I stop the alarm, that should be it. You shouldn't need to warn me again or tell me again. Give it 10 seconds and it's beeping again. So what I found I have to do is unplug the probe. Why do I have to go through all of that? The other Mavericks or the Ivations, as soon as I stop the alarm is off. And that's it. It doesn't come back on in 30 seconds or so. Not even 30 seconds, it's like 10 seconds. So, still having issues with this Maverick XR50. I like it for the long range. I don't like all the other functions they built in as functions that it does not work like the old one. I prefer the old one a lot better. Oh, it looks like I am gonna have to open this up and because I can't reach back. I was trying to keep the heat in the smoker, but unfortunately I can't even open up the doors or pull the tray out, the rack out, without opening up both doors wide. So we will get this into the pan. I see those briskets, they looking good. I'm happy with how this cook is turning out so far. Shouldn't do that. Maybe the first time, yes. Then another issue I have with the XR50 is because you control it from the sending unit and not the receiver. What happens is, this thing is beeping. It was beeping earlier this morning for hours, because I was in the house, I turned this one off. I'm like, it's okay. I turned this alarm off, this one is still beeping. So now, I need to decide if I'm gonna fight with it to try to lower the temperature to where it is now that it's reading, or just be patient because I know the smoker temperature is coming up. And it's registering that the temperature is rising. So, I want to really like that. And I'll say it again, just like I said it in that initial review. I really wanted to like this. It's just not, like, they need to do some software updates and changes, and then I might like it a lot better. But again, I'm talking about the Maverick XR50. It's an extended range wireless thermometer. All right, time for me to go in the house. I'm gonna go in the house while this chicken is still hot, and I'm gonna start getting it pulled. So I'm back in the house and I have my chicken. Now the chicken is still piping hot. And what I found is it's easiest for me to shred the chicken up when it's hot. So what I do is I put on a set of cotton gloves, and then I put on a set of the nitro gloves, and I mash it up. So what I do at this point, like I said, while it is hot, I will get it pretty much pulled, and then I will set it aside and either keep it in the warmer if it's close enough to the time in which I need to have it ready, or in this case, I'm actually going to chill it. And I just go to town. I'm just going to use my Popeye muscles and shred this. And then before I serve it, I will, or like when I'm prepping it a little later today, I will pull this out, and I will chop it just to make it a little more even. Tearing it up like this does a decent job, but I like to chop it up just to make sure it's nice and even and all the pieces are nice and uniform and cut down properly. This makes it 10 times easier pulling it like this by hand, just basically mashing it up. I used to let this stuff cool like pretty much completely, and then I would chop it up, and it would be, you know, because it was cooler, it was harder, and it was much harder to take care of. So Charles, hopefully this answers your questions. If you have any other questions after seeing me do this, feel free to let me know down below. So when I tear it up by hand, it just gives it a rough chop, and like some of the pieces are still stuck together. So in order for me to make sure that the pieces are pretty uniform, I'll just give it a really rough chop, just to make sure that the pieces and parts are separated. Now you can probably go through here by hand and just pull it apart a little better, but I just do this really quickly. You guys see this is taking me less than 5 minutes to do this entire pan of chicken. And doing this by hand also allows you to feel for any bones or any foreign objects that could be in the chicken, which is another reason why I do this by hand. I've seen some people put like chicken into like a KitchenAid and shred it that way. Again, I do it by hand so that I can make sure there's no bones or bone fragments left. Mash this up, and then I'm gonna mix it all together, and I'm gonna get it in the fridge so it can chill out and wait for my event later today. Alright, so back out of Bernadette. My temperature's starting to fall off again. Let's check this, and I can see that the charcoal is pretty much petered out. So what I'm gonna do, I hate to have to do it, but I'm gonna have to add another bag of charcoal. So this is the first for me cooking with Bernadette and kind of like really cooking with her. The last time I think I used Bernadette, I think I just did like pork shoulder maybe. But what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm adding a whole bag of charcoal. All right, so of what's in here now, I mean, I still see remnants of the splits I put on there, but I'm just gonna add a whole bag of charcoal. Pretty much call it a day. So if anyone's keeping count, that's 3 bags of charcoal. I'm just looking at this box is mighty red. I don't know why. I don't think it's the temperature, but it might be. Looks like there's something on there. Anyway, let's get that back in there. And at this point, I'm going, let's get this ash out of the way. Put the door closed. Got a lot of ash in here. Alright, so at this point, I'm gonna get the briskets, the pork shoulders wrapped up. And when I wrap up my briskets, pork shoulders, I just put them in foil pans so that I can capture the au jus, the juices. Same thing with the pork shoulder. So that's it. Okay, so one of the things that I did when I opened this up a little while ago, when I was actually, after I finished taking the chicken out, what I ended up doing was I took the scraper and I scraped off the plates and then rinsed them off, and you know, I guess obviously it's just grease, so it came off without a problem. Other than that, everything looks really good in here. I'll take that out of there. I don't need to monitor the temperature so much anymore. At this point, what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna get these briskets wrapped up, as well as the pork shoulder, and I'm gonna let them finish in here. The one thing Bernadette doesn't have that Bessie does is a shelf, and for obvious reasons, the shelf will be way down here, which probably wouldn't be too bad, but it's already, she's already a big girl as is. The shelf will just add to the size here. Now, something I just found is the brisket that was back here. A piece of that brisket was stuck to the shelf there. Leads me to believe the temperature is still getting too hot, even though it's, shoot, maybe 2 feet up off of where the heat comes in. And I gotta figure something else out. I don't know if I need to lay like fire brick in there or something to help get that heat just off and out that way, so I can, you know, have a little more even temperature. The smoker did fine, Bernadette did fine as far as having an even heat. Obviously, the closer to the heat on this side, or closer to this side of the smoker, it's going to be warmer. But I really wanted, like, even if I had took this pork shoulder and cooked it right there, it probably been way too hot. So, but the temperatures from where I had the probes were pretty even. But of course, I had a probe right about here, and then I had a probe here, and then I had a probe over here. And this probe that was over here did show warmer than these two probes that were up there. Just, you know, experimenting as well with this. Everything looks good though. There's another one. There's some meat stuck on the shelf as well from this pork shoulder. Leads me to believe it also got a little too hot. So here's some pork shoulder along with the brisket. I'm gonna go feed the animals. All right, that's the pork shoulder. And this is the bigger of the 3 briskets. I might be able to fit all 4 across. Let's see. Do it. All right, so I can go over a bit. So this is the pork shoulder. This is the biggest brisket, medium, and this is the smaller one, or smallest one. At this point, I'm just gonna close the smoker back up. I'm gonna get the heat ramped up just a little bit. I care about how high it goes, but I want to finish this faster. So I'm going to let the heat go up. I'm shooting for like 300 right about here, because this is going to be the hottest point. And then this should finish in a timely fashion, in a timely manner. So at this point, I'll see you guys when this is done. All right, so I like to be upfront and honest with you guys. Bernadette was like stuck at temperature and I couldn't figure it out. Then you know what I did? I shuffled the charcoal basket. Gosh, it's a lot of charcoal that has gone through this basket today. And because of that, there's a lot of ash in there. The ash buildup was not allowing the airflow. So that was, or this is a little pro tip, in case you have a grill that you're using with charcoal and you can't seem to get any higher temperatures, shake your charcoal basket to make sure that you have enough airflow. So hopefully that helps someone. I know I was kind of stuck like Chuck, like what the heck is going on? Like I took the water out of the smoker, I did a bunch of stuff and I'm like, it's not gaining temperature, to the point where I had to like think fast, and I ended up moving 2 briskets and pork shoulder into the house to try to finish them in the house because I wanted to make sure that they were done. Oddly enough, once I shook the charcoal, the ash basket, the brisket that I left out in the smoker, the one that I don't have to have done exactly for today, this one is finished before the ones that were in the oven are. And that's also because the smoker got warmer than I have the oven set to. So, but again, if you are stuck and you're using charcoal and the heat doesn't go up, you might have to shake your charcoal or your charcoal basket to make sure that you're getting enough air and that the ash is not choking everything or things out. So I know I'm looking at Vicky here, and I know some of you guys made mention of that when I was using Vicky before. I guess what happens is with Vicky, because she's much smaller than Bernadette is, it's never been an issue. You know, I told you guys before that I'm using Bernadette because I'm trying to use Bernadette, obviously, for purpose intended, which is cooking more during the winter and not having to use Bessie the big smoker, because Bernadette can cook just about as much, if not more, than Bessie. I was hoping with less fuel, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I am going to, you know, we'll revisit Bernadette and what she's doing. But you know what's funny? I showed you guys earlier that there was some brisket and some pork shoulder that was kind of a little burnt to the bottom of the grate because I feel like the temperature is still just a little too intense. That's why this smoker is named Bernadette. She burns things. She burns things. She burns things. She's like a wild Mustang right now. I have to tame her, and I'll get her figured out in time. Okay, and what are you gonna say?
Make sure you subscribe.
Okay.
Give a thumbs up.
All right, so let's try this again. It's subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give a thumbs up if you like. Bye. Alright, so that was my daughter. She always wants to help whenever she catches me filming the video. So just like she said, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you like what you saw, if you learned something, please leave me a thumbs up down below. And leave a comment, if you have any other questions. And I'll see you next time.